They want us they want us to eat, the vegan meats and the crickets.
The crickets.
Yeah,
No, they can't have us eating crickets.
yeah. if these uh if these fallen controllers do exist, yeah, I'm thinking they'll be running Coca-Cola and McDonald's and BlackRock and Vanguard and Pfizer. I don't know if I should say that now that we hit record,
Right at the beginning. Oh, well, here we are changing the world and bringing more light and more truth to counteract all the negative that is in our world. Welcome and beautiful evening, kings and queens. I am joined tonight. Well, it's my night, it's his rising in Japan with my amazing friend, King Allen, who has been on an incredible healing journey. He is so filled with wisdom, knowledge, inspiration, and the word of God, and that he's been tapping into so much more, his own spiritual gifts and on his healing journey. So he's been fasting, he's fruitarian, he has overcome so many different health problems, he's lost incredible amount of weight. You'll tell us a little bit more about that, and he is just here to inspire us, to empower us, and help us to, you know, follow the righteous way, follow the righteous way, the way of fruit that brings us back to, the power within, and helps us to connect even more as well with God and our divine mission here on earth. So if you haven't seen it, we did have an interview last year and it was so, so amazing. And I'm super happy to have you back again, King Allen. We were already going deep before and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good to share with you all tonight. So thank you so much for joining me, for joining our community, for coming and sharing, and also being so honest and open about your journey. I really want to commend you on that. I was telling you earlier how, it's really remarkable to see somebody on the fruitarian path who comes clean when they decide to have a cooked meal, like, and then also, maybe you could share with us a little bit that journey of coming back to fruit. You were talking about how it gets easier over time as well, so we'd love to hear a little bit about that and everything we were talking about, planting the seeds, New Testament, Old Testament. Let's go deep tonight. Thank you so much, King Allen. Thanks for having us. So how have you been? It's been a few months I haven't spoken to you. So let us know how you've been.
I've been good. I've been good. So this whole year, I started this whole year just on fruits. Uh, last year, I got addicted to cooked foods again, and I got addicted for months. I want to say little over 3 months, and it was so very difficult to let go. And then I did. I was feeling pain in my kidneys, my lymph nodes, and my groin area got swollen. And when I would walk, our thighs would rub like that, and you can't walk for long distance. Back in the day, I thought I was just a fat ass, and my thighs would rub like that, But now I realize, hey, your lymph nodes are swollen from inflammation. It's inflammation. It's making it harder to walk. But so I water fasted. For 8 days, and a lot of the cooked food addiction kind of disappeared, and I thought, okay, wow, this fasting, very powerful tool. So with that fast, after that 8-day fast, I broke it with fruits, and from there it kind of like reset my body, and I'm assuming, or supposedly, resets the gut bacteria, and then the gut bacteria supposedly also has control of your mood, and so I was back to being super happy again. And yeah, I think in English they say, yeah, your gut is your second brain, and I think, yeah, it's almost true. If the Emerald Tablet, I think, but written by Thoth, I think in the Mesopotamian area, or the Egyptian area. This is Legend of the Emerald Tablet, right? Supposedly, as above, so below. So if you have a brain above, you have a brain below. And if you kind of crush your, or if you squeeze your gut like this, it kind of look like a brain, right? And I think also in the book of Matthew speaks of as above, so below.
And it makes sense. And now we know that, over 75% of our serotonin is produced in the gut, so when doctors are prescribing medications for depression, anxiety, psychosis, all these mental health issues, we realize that when we heal the gut, miraculously, all these issues are disappearing, and we really don't need the medications. And really what the medication does is it comes and it takes the serotonin from the gut and it brings it to the brain. So it's like, we really need to focus on healing the ecosystem that's going on here. Absolutely incredible that you did an 8-day water fast, to maybe those who have never heard about this might be very shocking. And we'd love to hear about your experience, because even I, if I had heard about this a few years ago, I would have been like, what? This is incredible.
And he just said it like casually. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
so
did a
casually.
water fast. Yeah. Just like that.
Yeah.
So in 2017, I want to say 30. Wow, I forget how old I was in 2017. But I was in 2017 as an adult. I'm 5'6". I was weighing over 230 pounds, and that was the heaviest I've been as an adult. But as a child, I was also over 200 pounds. So I was obese since childhood, and I've been, open to all kinds of diet. Back in the day, right? Our knowledge on diet is, all you have to do is lower your calories, and you'll be fine. Lower your calories, and it's calories in, calories out. And I'm thinking, yeah, to a certain extent, yes, but I think there's more to that. And in 2018, I started a keto diet, right? I'm watching Joe Rogan podcast. He's trending, and at that time he's probably still trending now. And they're talking about keto diet and intermittent fasting. And so I started looking into intermittent fasting while doing this keto diet, and I was losing a lot of weight. And because I was intermittent fasting, I got more curious, like, how long can I go? Right. And so the first 24-hour fast I tried, it felt like forever. You're looking at the clock, like, damn, when is it gonna feel like it's going backwards? But as we practice fasting, I think because our bodies, I think, like, imagine our ancestors doing winter, like harsh winters or storms, right? They fasted, right? They didn't have refrigerators, and we evolved. It's in our DNA, it's in our memories to be able to fast. It's just that this modern generation, right? Especially in Japan, we have vending machines everywhere, with convenience stores everywhere. We always have something in our mouth. We're always munching on something, and then the media is always pushing something sponsored by McDonald's, sponsored by Coca-Cola. Right? The Olympics sponsored by McDonald's. McDonald's top shareholders, the BlackRock and Vanguard, they're also top shareholders of Moderna and Pfizer and Washington Mutual and Big Oil and I want to say Big Education. So they got
they're all one.
A lot of these things controlled, and I believe it was Ephesians chapter 6 verse 12 or something like that. Yeah. We are not to wrestle against, brothers and sisters or bloods. We're wrestle against the authorities and the evil entities that have control over us in this realm and just the little realm above, something like that. And I was like, whoa, yes. If this world, was controlled by the fallen, if we are in the realm where the fallen have control, yes. It's going to be a lot of corruption, and they'll probably be running the big industries, and try to control us, keep us from reaching our full, our potential. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, when God made man in his image, in his image, right? And so I'm thinking we also have potential. If we are made in his image, we also have the potential of being God, right? We can create, but we can also destroy, just like God, but not at God's level, right? We have that potential. And I think the closer we get to our natural self, we can reach these potential quicker. And the saying, we are what we eat, is true. If it is true, then the more unnatural foods we eat, the more unnatural state we enter. The more natural foods we eat, the more natural state we enter. And I think humans at their natural state is very powerful. And I think, if the controllers, if the fallen are controlling us, they'll try to control our power, just keep us, just smart enough to get the machine of the society and the capitalism and whatever this world is going, but dumb enough to not realize that we may be slaves. And we have, we continue for generations and generations of eating meat and processed food and potato chips and Coca-Cola. Maybe it gets, stored in our DNA. So it gets more difficult and difficult for us to let go of this as generations go on. So if the more, so if the more cleaner we eat, the easier for our children to eat cleaner as well. I also think our ancestors' diet is in our the memory is in our DNA. Our fruit memory is in our DNA. When God created man, Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, he also designated the fruit of man. And Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, God's like, yo, man, this is fruits. Inside fruits, there is seeds. So note seeds. You plant the seeds, will grow more trees, and then the trees will grow more fruit. This is your food. So the first food designated to man was fruits. So the closer we go to our original diet, I think the closer we get to our original state, maybe our DNA will also be able to get back to its original state. And how in Christianity, they said the blood is very important. Yeah, maybe God, put his signature in our DNA, in our blood. And whatever tries to change our DNA is probably the work of Lucifer or Satan or the devil, if they exist. If this exists, if this is true, if the Bible is true, I'm saying. But a lot of things in the Bible, what it's saying, it makes, and you look at current information now, like I forget what university was saying, hey, if man lived a very good life, he can live up to 120 years. And then if you look at Wikipedia, you search Wikipedia for the list of longest living man recorded in modern history, the average is about 117. And then Genesis chapter 6, verse 3, after the flood, or I think before the flood, God lowered man's life to 120 years, but back then they lived a lot longer. Maybe God knew that, hey, we're going to be in a world of sin, so maybe he shouldn't be living. But we may be able to live 120 years. I think God gave us up to 120 years to figure it out, type deal. And then the teaching of Jainism, they say the same thing. 120 years, the people of this generation can live, and they can be as tall as, I believe, almost 9 feet. But people back then, they live a lot longer and were able to reach a lot longer heights. And supposedly Noah and Adam and the Old Testament folks, Enoch, they were a lot taller than us. And we hear stories of Goliath, right? And then science and archaeology saying, hey, yeah, the animals back then were a lot bigger. Imagine, I'm sorry, I keep going and going. As fruitarians, some fruitarians eat salt, some fruitarians don't eat salt, and salt is something I ponder, right? Jesus talking about, yeah, we are the salt of the earth. When in Genesis, when Lot turned around to look at Sodom and Gomorrah, she turned into a pillar of salt. So I wonder, my family had a pig farm, or still have a pig farm, and they'll slaughter pigs. And pig meat is naturally pink and salty. if they fossilize or become rot, or petrify, big animals that petrify that are pink and salty may become these Himalayan pink salt mines. And if we do eat pink salt meat, if Titan theory is true, then we're eating our ancestors. So if vegans, plant-based eaters who eat Himalayan pink salt, are we really 100% plant-based? This is just something I ponder when I'm high, but but yeah, if all this theory is true, then yeah, if we're eating salt, we're eating our ancestors. But in the book of Thomas, it's talking about this world is made out of corpses. So made out of corpses after the big flood, right? It'll be a lot of corpses, and then the flood resides and the corpse become mountains in the land and whatnot. And that's why we find all these petrified, supposedly, it says even the scriptures talk about it. So
well, this is going to be a lot easier to come off the salt.
Yeah, I mean, it was very difficult for me to get off salt, especially when eating avocados. But I realized, so from June 1st to June 9th, I've eaten only apples, and it not only hydrates you, I don't have no cravings for salt. I realize apples are very naturally really salty, probably more than tomatoes. I've also pondered about tomatoes, if it's like designed recently for us, for during Exodus, when people were wandering around the desert looking for Israel for 40 years, or maybe a little bit more. They come up with fruits like watermelons and cucumbers and pumpkins, something that will grow quick within months, so that they can eat it and then move on. Avocados and apples and tree fruits, it takes years before they fruit. So I'm thinking these vine fruits that grow quick and tomatoes are recently made fruits. So
I wonder, we're supposed to eat the cherry tomatoes and not the big one. The cherry ones are closer to like the original fruit.
Okay.
The bigger ones are not.
Yes, the more heirloom, I think the most quote unquote heirloom, the most earlier time fruits, I think the better. And then I wonder, okay, well, we're in the New Testament time, so maybe we're more designed for the newer fruits. But yeah, I wanted to get back to the subject of the New Testament and Old Testament. Recently, yeah, I came across this sermon by this preacher talking about the relationship of Old Testament and New Testament. I've only recently came across really got into the Bible only for since I started this fruitarian diet, or actually since I started fasting. Okay, before I get into the relationship, before Old Testament, New Testament, let's talk a little bit about fasting. When I got into fasting is when I started believing more and more into of the spiritual realm. And I'm thinking in Matthew chapter 17, verse 21, it's talking about Jesus, after he was able to get this demon out of somebody. His helpers were asking Jesus, hey, how were you able to get that demon out? We were trying to get it out, we couldn't. And Jesus is talking about through fasting and prayer. A lot of the new versions of the New Testament, I noticed, I have like 4 copies of Matthew, and Matthew chapter 17, verse 21 is left blank. The number is there, but it is left blank. So if you gotta look, I found an older version of the New Testament, so you gotta find the old New Testament, and it'll be written on there talking about fasting. So the newer the version of the
They took it
Bible,
out on
I'm
purpose.
thinking there'll be more corrupted, more corrupted.
Yeah. I mean, how
But
could
it's
you
good.
do that?
If the world is controlled by the fallen, by Lucifer or Satan, then yeah, I think a lot of the things we read and see
Well,
on TV and hear on the radio or see on our smartphones are ultimately controlled.
there's even
So
some
you gotta
gospels
listen to
that are
your
in
gut
it.
feeling. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, what do I believe? Well, you gotta listen to your gut feeling,
Yeah.
and if you, the more clean your gut is, probably the more better your senses are. We are sensors, and that's why we have, right, the 5 basic senses. I think we have more than 5, but the cleaner we are, the better our senses, and we'll probably be able to. And so I'm thinking with the 8-day fast, or with the fasting, I was able to get this demon or addictions or anger or whatever, these parasites out, and I was able to get more connected to the source or the creator or the universe, whatever that may be. Okay, so back to the Old Testament and New Testament. The fruit diet is mentioned in the Old Testament, and I've been trying to follow it. Like, oh, the more close to, I want to get, I want to get close to God. I want to get close to God. And when I fall off, it was so devastating. It's like, oh my God, I'm a failure. I'm a sinner. I'm learning. And the preacher is talking about, yeah, the more we follow the guidelines of the Old Testament, the more we realize we are sinners and we're born into sin. Fun trivia: a sin in Tagalog, which is a Filipino language, is salt. We were born into salt. We were born into sin. Book of Thomas talking about, the world is a corpse. We're born into, so maybe there's salt everywhere, and then the best salt processed, the tree process a lot of the salt for us and give it to us in probably the best sodium form. But oh shoot, anyway, going back to Old Testament, yeah, the more we try to follow the guidelines of the Old Testament, the more we realize we are sinners. But now we are in the, supposedly, okay, this could ultimately all be controlled and all be simulations, but supposedly now we are living in the New Testament time. Okay, people back in the Old Testament time, they were saved by following the laws of God. In the New Testament time, we are saved by the grace of God. Not saying that we shouldn't follow the guidelines. Yeah, we should put effort and follow the guidelines, the great guidelines. But even Adam fell, even Adam fell, right? The best of it happens to the best of us. We'll fall, but with effort. Adam fell, but he didn't kill himself. He went out. He got kicked out of Eden, but he didn't kill himself. He continued. He continued living, and yeah, we, even though we fell, we continue to serve. Not to be saved by God, we serve because we are saved by God. Whew, right.
Hallelujah. Oh my gosh. That's
They said
deep.
you're not supposed to say it, but I say it anyway. So yeah, eating fruits and planting the seeds is not just service to yourself, it's service to the world, right? Because this tree supposedly give us good oxygen, and then the tree becomes a big mature tree and it gives fruits to the others, and then the others can serve. Matthew and the book of Mark, chapter 10, verse 45 says something in the line of, yeah, we're not here just to serve ourselves. We're here to serve. You're here to serve the world, serve the others. Yeah. And so I try. And I think that's what counts, the effort, the intention.
I was just saying that on the juice cleanse video that I was doing earlier, like, I'm not doing this just for myself. I am doing this for the whole world. I feel like once we start to activate, like you said, we start to tap into like, oh my gosh, I'm here to help. I'm here to serve, like brothers, sisters, like, what can I do to help? What can I do to be of service, you know, and that really comes with the activation from the fasting, like you said, from the fruit. And, you know,
Yes.
it's not because God said, ye are the salt of the earth, that he implied that we needed to eat the salt. You know, I feel like our body chemistry has a certain
Yeah.
process. Like, yes, we cry tears that are salty. Yes, our body may be producing that, but it doesn't necessarily mean we need to consume it, you know. I am a little bit confused about the salt water. I have to be honest. Me too, as you, like, I'm figuring it out. I know salt is so addictive. I know it has been a problem in my life. I don't process it properly. It's like dehydrating, all those things. I 100% agree. But why is it that when we swim in the ocean, it's like a mineralization bath? I think it doesn't have the same
Yeah.
effect on the body, but I'm a little bit confused as to why we feel so good when we do swim in the ocean.
I wondered about salt before. I've had a science class. I believe I think I was in 8th grade or 10th grade. All right. Shout out to Mr. Judon or Mr. Schaefer. He was, I forget what he said. Shout out to my science teachers. You know, although a lot of science probably, you know, information is controlled. But we made an experiment where we put a copper wire on a light bulb and we stick it into a petri dish of water, and then another copper wire into the water connected to batteries. The light didn't turn on. But when we put salt in the water, it became a good conductor of energy, and the light turns on. So maybe it's a good conductor of energy to have salt around us, and we connect the energy. You know, it becomes a conductor, and we connect to the earth more. Right, when we go to the beach, we're a lot of times we're how do you say, grounding and earthing. Right, not a lot of us wear shoes on the sand of the beach. If you do, please take off please take off your shoes. In Shintoism, Japanese believes, right, salt is not only cleansing physically, right? We take a salt flush to flush out sometimes if you have some how do you say, constipation. You don't have to do that if you're eating fruits or looping urine, but salt can also have this cleansing or a detox effect, and then replace with water. So yeah, I've wondered about salt. And if we are salt of the earth, we die, we go back to the earth, we return the salt. We return this energy or this salt magic. So
but what you're saying about the fruit feasting, the apples, for example, is something similar to what I experienced with the watermelon. You know, when I get on these mono fruit feasts, it's like my salt cravings completely go away. When I was on the juice cleanse, completely went away. Water fast, it just wasn't there. You know, once I break that chain, once I break that spell with the salt, I don't need it no more. I don't think about it. I don't need it. I'm getting everything I need from within. Like, I feel like even beyond being fruitarian, we are breatharian. You know, that's how you could go 8 days on water. That's how people are, you know, have completely, you know, transcended from the fruit because they've just gone to that level. But I feel like we literally have everything inside our body that we need to survive, to live, to thrive. Like, we don't necessarily need the vitamins, the nutrients, the B12, all these things from fruit. We're going deep now. I don't know. Already fruitarianism is intense for people. They're like, what? Looping urine? Fruitarianism? Hold on. Like, you had me at vegan. Like, I was already confused.
I could talk about some B12. I could talk about some Fruitarianism too. But yes, salt, I think it's all coming. We could get it from the earth, and then the fruits, right? The tree get it from the earth for us and converts it to, and gives it to us. And so when we put extra salt on our food, we're putting more than we need. And I think that's a sin. And that's probably why the Filipinos call salt a sin. Right? We're putting more than we need. We're taking more than we think we need it. No, we don't need it. And now it becomes an addiction, and we need more salt, more salt. But and then we die, and we give back the salt to the earth. And I think, yeah, maybe there are some literal things in the Bible, right? Because it's talking about 120 years, and you look at it, we're given 120 years, and the other cultures talking about 120 years. I don't think this is all coincidence. Right?
Also,
Like
something.
how many coincidences do you need to to be
Yeah.
not a coincidence?
Also, something interesting. A friend of mine pointed this out, that in the Bible, when God gives permission, to Moses to oh my God, was it even Moses on the boat? Yes, like on the no,
Noah.
Noah on the boat, that they could eat meat, right? It was like a survival thing because there wasn't any
Right.
food. It was around that time that the life expectancy also diminished. Is that correct?
Yes.
That like
Yes.
it used to be 800, but then maybe that's a comparison to our modern day life, where like you could say, okay, you're going to live this long if you're eating a certain way, but then if you don't, then your life expectancy
Right.
is going to be 50.
Right. So the after the flood diet, right, which is the clean, God is like, hey, you may eat these clean animals, which is mentioned in Leviticus chapter 11. Genesis chapter 6 verse 3 is when God's like, okay, after the flood, hey, there's probably no fruits right now. I don't know if you saw, that was a big flood, but so you may eat meat. God, when telling Noah to put the animals in the boat, he put 2 pairs of the other animals, but then the clean animals, I think chosen by God or gifted to us by God, maybe like the cows, and that's probably why the Hindus, it's like, cows are, a gift, it's a God gift. Put 7 pairs of the clean animals, and the clean animals are also mentioned in Leviticus and Deuteronomy, the Old Testament. The pig is, I think, okay, so the domestic pig, I'm thinking, is the closest to human DNA. Pigs are the closest mammals to humans that modern humans eat, and I think that's kind of gross. But I had a science teacher where we were dissecting fetal pigs, very happy, talking about, hey, I'm glad we got fetal pigs instead of frogs because the insides of pigs are closer to humans. Modern medicine now, they're saying, yeah, we can put the pig heart into human, transplant to a human heart. I think same with the kidneys. So we are pretty close to humans, and they're talking, how we have stories of that, like on Adam Farm and the 3 little pigs. Pigs may be coming from, may have similar DNA to humans, and if Satan and Lucifer exist, they'll push it on us. I think it was book of Matthew, where there was this legion of demons in this one man, right? And Jesus was gonna, whoop his ass, take him out of there. And the legion of demons is like, hey, instead of killing us, can you just can we go into the pigs? And Jesus said, yeah, get out of here. And they went into the pigs. The pigs ran off off the cliff and committed suicide. Supposedly, pigs can get man's disease, man can get pig's disease. So maybe we're eating our brothers. Maybe that's why the Muslims say not to eat pig. Maybe the Hindus and Buddhists are vegetarians. In nature, if you look at, Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu culture scripture, yeah, it's pretty much talking about eating a fresh, natural diet. And if pigs were naturally human food, we should, with our strong ass teeth and jaws, we should bite right into the pig raw. Why don't we? Does it look good? Is it pleasing to the eye? Genesis chapter 2 verse 9, when God was planting these trees and fruits, supposedly in some version of the Bible it says only trees, but it grew fruits pleasing to the eye, right? If you look at a pig, is it pleasing to the eye when it's alive? Not really.
Try catching a wild pig with your bare hands too. I want to see that.
We should be able to do that.
Yeah.
Supposedly, one of the fallen angel, Azazel, introduced us to fire. And with fire, we were able to make weapons and tools, go to war, and hunt. So and cook food. So every time we eat cooked food, or every time we use fire, we smoke weed, we're using the tools of the fallen, if this is true. Cooked foods, yeah, it's delicious. Yeah, no doubt. Cooked foods is super delicious. But maybe in exchange of that dopamine release, when we eat the cooked foods, we exchange a little bit of our soul. And that's why they call it soul food. I don't know.
I never thought of that.
If all this is true. 33% of the angels, 1/3 of the angels supposedly fell with Lucifer. 33%. 33 is when Jesus died. 33 is the highest ranking that the Freemasons have, supposedly. You see a lot of the Hollywood celebrities, flashing 33 at us. You got Kobe Bryant, and the LeBron James. Yeah, there's 33 is an interesting number. Oh yeah, 33 vertebra.
And I believe that before the fire was created, before we were, able to cook our meat and our food, that there was peace on earth, that there wasn't any kind of murders, any kind of like violence, even that we were even living in harmony with so many animals, and that even the animals weren't eating other animals, that they were all eating plants and seeds and fruits. What do you think of that?
In Genesis chapter 1, verse 30, after, God designated, us a plant-based diet, it also designated the animals a plant-based diet. And in Noah's ark, right, the animals didn't eat each other. And I believe in Isaiah chapter 65 is talking about, in the kingdom of God, the wolves and the lamb, they feast together, and they sleep together, and there's no killing, there's no violence in the kingdom of the Lord, something of that nature. I keep quoting the Bible, but then it's not word by word. This is my version of it, of how I remember it. The wolf and the lamb, or the lion and the sheep, they eat the same thing.
And perhaps that part too is part of our journey. It's almost like we're coming into the world. The beginning of the Old Testament is like pure and fresh and new. Everything is like perfect, and then there's the darkness that kind of comes in, and the free will to eat death if we wish to, and partake in sin if we wish to. And then the New Testament with Jesus coming in with, like, again, the peace and maybe the awakening. Perhaps we had to go through that period in our own life of dying to that part of ourselves too, to come to the light and to truly come into who we really are, in a sense. So maybe it's like the journey of the Bible with the Old and New Testament is like the journey of our life too, and coming to our own sense of enlightenment in the end.
Same with Adam. He fell. Supposedly Jacob, he fell and he climbed up the ladder, the 33 vertebra, and found God. Supposedly the pineal gland. So I think part of our journey is to fall sometimes. If we don't fall, we're just like, we're playing the game with cheat codes. It's not fun. It's going to be a boring story. It's going to make it like, maybe it's like the Truman Show. Or, also sounds like the True Man Show, starring Jim Carrey. Maybe it's like a whole theater. Make it interesting for the viewers. Live like you're the main character in this theater. If you look at the word theater, you can spell the word earth. With the word earth, you can spell the word heart. Take care of the heart.
The Truman Show. I never thought about. Man, I always have these aha moments, these like epiphanies with you. Where do you your mind is so beautiful. You could just see things and understand things in a whole new way. That is super, super interesting. Super interesting.
Thank you so much. I also think, Hollywood, flashes us these clues right in front of our faces. And if our sensors are better, the more cleaner our sensors are, aka cleaner our body are, maybe we're able to sense these things better.
Yeah, I'm definitely starting to sense it more when I'm watching movies or listening to certain music, like intuitively, it just doesn't feel right. It's not sitting with me. The vibration is like, it's not matching at all. I have a question that came in from Queen Jacqueline about your fast. She's curious to know if you've experienced any weak adrenals during your water fast or fruit fast. Like did you black out? Did you feel shaky or weak?
Oh,
What did you do if you did?
all right. So the shaky part, I used to be, I may have been diabetic or pre-diabetic since childhood because I'll have the shakes and the cold sweats. And I believe it's called hypoglycemia, where we can't control our sugar. The more we fast, the more where our body will be able to control our sugar and insulin. Insulin's, we keep blasting our insulin up with all these processed carbs that we're not able to control anymore, that we are not, supposedly we're not able to control our sugar anymore. Another good way is to add, I started adding apple cider. It could be a placebo, okay, but it worked for me. Apple cider vinegar supposedly helps control the blood sugar, and it works for me. And sooner or later, you won't need it anymore. My blood sugar is fine, even though I fast for long periods. Yeah, as a kid, as a fat kid, I was an obese kid. When I have the shakes, I thought it was hunger, and I'll have sugar and get more addicted to it, and still get hypoglycemia. The weak adrenals, where we kind of like feel like we're blacking out as we, how we get up, or we're moving kind of. The moving kind of slow part, I think, is part of the detox. Right? When we're moving kind of slow, relax. Your body's healing, let it heal. Sleep, rest. Because it's healing, your other body activity is going to be slow. But the blackout part, when the first time I started fasting, I drank a lot of water, and I depleted a lot of electrolytes, right? These minerals, supposedly, right? And the electrolytes are potassium, sodium, and magnesium. And that's probably why the pro athletes, right? They drink, brought to you by Gatorade. They drink Gatorade, and you look at Gatorade, it's got potassium, magnesium, and sodium. And even in the hospitals, when they shoot that water or whatever that, I forget what it's called, when you're dehydrated, and it's electrolytes in water. And so, yeah, I made a mistake of drinking so much water that it was like, feel like I'm a blackout. I had that headache. Relax. You can add salt, natural salts to your water if you like to keep drinking water. In the beginning, right? We want to get rid of get our mind off of food, and we're replacing it with lots of water, right? Add salts. I added salts before. Yes, I ate Himalayan pink salts with my water. Yes, if Titan theory is true, it might have been my ancestors I'm drinking. Borrow the strength of your ancestors. Maybe they'll be glad to help you. Like, I died, but yeah, if you want my if you want my organs, please make use of it. So continue the fasting. If you feel like crap, break the fast. Don't be like too much, because that'll get back into the addiction quicker, and then go back into the fast. After you break the fast a little bit, if you feel better, you get back onto the fast. The more we practice, the more our body gets used to fasting, the more better it becomes. The memory is there in our DNA. Our ancestors most likely fasted during the winter time, harsh winters, in the typhoon time. All cultures went through fasts, even famines, right? It's in our DNA to be able to handle it. Our body goes into autophagy, supposedly, according to science. In year 2016, the Nobel Prize for Medicine was awarded to a scientist or a biologist named Osumi, who was able to prove that fasting healed you. I didn't need all that, because in the in the Bible it tells you that fasting will heal you anyway. But well, science is saying it now. And this was in 2016. So when we fast, our body triggers autophagy, and it gets into healing mode, and uses your old beat up cells as food, right? Supposedly there's hydrogen in our cells, in our fat cells. It breaks the hydrogen. We breathe oxygen. The oxygen and hydrogen combines and makes pure water. So we don't really need to be drinking water. And then it cleans out. And yeah, our sensors get better, and we'll probably be a lot more connected to the source or the creator of the universe. And that's probably why a lot of us people who fast or eat on a fruitarian diet, we start to believe in more than how do you say, the usual atheist ways.
Oh, that's so powerful. And also like our manifestation powers like really start to happen more when we're in that fasting state, you know. It becomes like, are we in this physical realm? Are we in the spiritual realm? I remember when I was water fasting too, I had this moment where I got up. It was at an ecstatic dance party, and I felt, and I was so shy to speak in front of crowds. I was so shy to even do anything. But we had a little period of time where we were allowed after the dance to come and share, you know, anything we want to share about ourselves, about a service we have, anything like that. And I felt God telling me like, go up and speak. And I was like, oh no, like, no, I don't want to speak. I was like, get up and speak. And it was stronger than me. It was just this pull. And I went up to the front of the circle, and there was like maybe 100 people there. And I told the DJ, and I was like, I need to say something. And it was not me, you know, speaking. But anyways, people were talking, and then and there was just like the timing too. And then it came my time to speak, and I got up and I said, hi, my name is Aline. I'm a recovering addict and alcoholic. I'm here in Austin getting better, getting myself sober. I haven't drank in so long. I haven't done drugs in so long. I received the call to water fast. God told me to water fast. And so I started water fasting, and I pointed up to the sky, and I kid you not, it was thunder. Like there was a thunder, there was lightning, and it hadn't rained in Austin in months. My friend was there in the crowd, and he was like, what? And it poured on us, and there was a flood in all of Austin when I said water fast and God. I pointed to the sky, and it broke out, and I was like, oh my gosh, like what just happened, you know? But it was like, pay attention. I was like, pay attention to what she's saying. And it was like that moment where I was like, oh my God, I am called. I am on a mission. What I'm speaking is truth. God is with me. Holy shit. Like it was just like, you know, the spiritual, like we are here, we are like real angels. Like you are here as a real angel of God, as a real messenger from the Most High, here to share with us like how to break free, how to break out of addictions. And there's so many different pills we could take and all these different things we could, but there's nothing that breaks the chains like fasting does of addiction, really, not just physical, but like all kinds of addictions, even mental patterns. I was seeing my mind start to change when I was on the water. I was not having the same recurring thoughts coming in. It was really powerful, and it changed me forever, you know? So, but I don't necessarily recommend water fasting to somebody who hasn't already been extensively. You could maybe do 1 day, 2 days, but anything past that, like really start with like the plant-based journey, go on the fruit, you know, like try, you know, a little, some, you know, 1 day, 2 days, but anything past that might, I don't know, for me anyway, I wouldn't necessarily recommend any extended water fasting unless they started cleaning out, maybe got some mucoid plaque out, really started to cleanse.
Yes.
Because, you know, you have to know what you're doing still.
I would recommend starting with intermittent fasting, maybe 14, 16 hours. It's like going to the gym and try to bench press 300 pounds out of nowhere. You might be able to do it, but a lot of times, no, you build up, maybe, 50 pounds first, build up and work your way to your 24 hours or your 48-hour fasts. Mm-hmm. Our body is designed to handle it. However, because of the way a lot of modern humans have been living, it becomes less efficient at it. However, if you look at, history where, I had an uncle who was lost at sea, but was found a couple of days later. He was alive. He probably didn't eat or drink none. You hear stories of miners who get trapped in mines, or there's an earthquake and people are buried under for a couple of days before what they eat. You know, yes, maybe some people die, right? You think you can't do it, and then you know some people go on a hunger strike and then die because maybe it's like a big placebo, like, oh, if I go a certain amount of days, I'm gonna die. I can't make it. I can't make it. I can't make it. And you turn yourself off. But if you know, like, hey, you know, the more confidence you have, right? The more you fast, the more confidence you have. The more you have experience of fasting, the more confidence you have with fasting, and the more easier it will get. And yeah, just if you look at Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, I believe, when God created man, right? He created Adam. He created Adam out of clay or dirt or earth. And then he breathed into his nostrils the life of breath, and Adam became man. So what gave life to man was breath, and what it continues giving life to man is breath. In Matthew, the New Testament, Matthew chapter 4, verse 3 or 4, something like that. Jesus was fasting for 40 days, 40 nights. The tempter, aka Satan, came to him and said, hey man, you're the son of God. You can turn those rocks into bread. Eat that, man. I know you're hungry. And Jesus is like, hey, you know, it is written. Bread is not what sustains man, but also the word. The breath of God is what sustains me. And I know people are like, I know I can't, you know, people have that, you know, we underestimate ourselves. You know, the Bible's written by man, my Bible's written. Yeah, maybe we think less of it because we underestimate man. But if God created man in his image, we have a lot of potential, and we have a lot of these like abilities like precognition, right? And when you point at this, we have that connection. It's just that we start to underestimate ourselves and doubt ourselves, and the society we live in, we think we're so insignificant, and now we're chopping off our penis because I want to be a she them, and well, something is going on. But you know, it's don't hate it. It's because it's part of their journey, and I forget where we're going to here, but with this, but yes, the more we have, the more we have experience with fasting, the more our body gets efficient at it. And I know some people maybe be able to do it quicker than others, but everybody's on their journey. Go at your own pace while enjoying every minute of it. God gave us 120 years. Shoot, let's live the best 120 years. Don't be like don't be like 60 and I don't. There's nothing I could learn anymore, and I'm cool. I'm almost dead. No, if you're at 60, you have 60 more. You know, let's go. But however, I'm not saying that we're all gonna live 120 years. If God says it's your time to go, we're packed up. I'm packed up, ready to go. Let's go. If all this is true. Yeah. If this is a simulation and nothing matters, then yeah.
I love how you add that in, you know, because we're all just trying to figure it out. And this is all our interpretation of things, and nobody's sure of anything, right? We're all just trying to figure it out. And I love that you say that, because it leaves space for us to reflect upon it, to meditate on it. It's not like this is an absolute and this is what you have to believe. You know, I grew up with a religion that you know, a Christian religion, but where you couldn't question anything, you know, where it was just like, this are the facts, and they didn't have answers for what I had a question for. And now I've had to leave my faith to fall into the darkness for so many years and go that way to come back to it now with a more open heart, a surrender, a wider perspective on things. But definitely like
we gotta forgive them for trying to push it like that. It's similar to when I first became vegan. I was trying to push it to, forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I came at you that way, but you know,
we all go through that. We all go through the aggressive, pushy vegan phase, I think. Do you not know what to the animals? You murder.
And then you think maybe they had they got access to certain knowledge, and they're just like, oh shit, I gotta push it. And so now I understand where you guys were coming from. So now we're more forgiving, and I think that's part of the journey. And I'm super blessed. I am super grateful for the blessings.
Yes.
And
You,
you
you
got so
become
those
like you become a
falling.
magnet. You become more of a magnet than a hunter. You know, you're more of a gardener, a farmer, planting the seeds, and then those who feel a resonance come your way now. Look, like we're finding you. We're coming to you because energetically you're more aligned with yourself and with that like that peace. And I have seen that in my own life too. You know, when we are not so forceful, things just start to happen on their own with ease and more flow. They're not forced. They just happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
It will be easier to let it happen, let the flow go if we have more faith that the universe or the creator already has everything perfectly written for us. Our script is all perfectly written. Scripture.
Yes.
Yeah, all of our journey is perfectly written. So don't worry. Just even if we fall, it's part of the ride, right? Roller coasters aren't fun if they're in big falls. If the roller coaster was just straight line, nobody's gonna ride it.
Mm. It's really interesting though to see somebody's life and to see like had they made one decision different, their life could have, like when we're at a crossroad, let's say somebody has cancer, for example, and they're at the crossroad where a member of their family is telling them about juicing and fasting and all this like natural regeneration, and then another 90% is telling them like go for the chemo, go for the radiation and the pills and all that, and they're at this crossroad, and it's like if they choose the chemo, they're going to go down one road. And if they choose this road, like they're going to go down, I don't know. I find it really amazing. Like, is God not speaking to all of us in the same way, but like we're not all understanding the messages? And if he were to choose the path of natural healing, I don't know. It's just like it baffles me. Like, the
It's
power of the free will as well, the power of
right.
like how we can choose one way or the other. And was that our destiny, and is this our destiny, and like is it written out is what I'm trying to get to. Like, do you think
Oh,
it's
both
all
ways.
written out
I
and
think both
planned?
ways can. I remember in elementary there was this book where we could choose. Okay, which, and then if you choose this, we go to page 63. If we choose this option, we go to page 74.
I love those
So
books.
so both ways is probably written. So if you choose chemo, right, maybe the bad things can happen to you physically, but other people witness it. Their children witness it, and now they choose not chemo because of your mistakes. Other people learn, even because we fell from our fruitarian diet and was able to get back. People were able to learn from it. I'm thinking either way, it's gonna benefit and continue a balance. And if we make a mistake in this life, if the theory, I don't know if it's a theory, but if samsara and reincarnation is true, then we might have to go back through it again until we figure it out. But maybe there are also entities, bad entities, who want us to continue just going through samsara. I was thinking the other day, another hit the blunt kind of thought. You know how in this 3D realm, a windmill generates energy, electricity when it spins, right, with the wind. What if beyond the third dimension, like fourth dimension, fifth dimension, the perpetual or the almost perpetual motion, circular motion, or similar circular motion of samsara caused by our souls are generating energy for these three-dimensional or these other dimensional beings to use. They're using our loosh, they're using our energy. Maybe fear make
Your
maybe
negative
fear
thoughts. Yeah.
maybe fear and negative thoughts are other forms of energy, or maybe it tastes good. Maybe our energy,
When I
maybe
saw the
fear
movie,
tastes
yeah, when I saw the movie Monsters Inc., I was like, this is
good.
probably really what's happening. Like, I
Yeah,
felt there was some truth to it. The screams, they were gathering the energy from the screams, and that rang true. And now you're saying this. So,
right. You know how some people eat, some animals eat meat, some animals eat plants. Maybe some entities eat negative energy. Some entities like other type of energy. Maybe if the fear makes our body taste delicious, especially when we're kids and their blood is pure. Japan sells adrenochrome on this through this And we gonna talk about can we talk about adrenochrome real quick? Supposedly, yeah, the adrenochrome is this hormone that comes out when our body's going through fear, or when we're going through fear, kind of like adrenaline, but adrenochrome. And supposedly it tastes good, and it's like a very, very strong drug. And it's more like a rich people drug. So if you have money and can avoid the cops, you're able to afford these drugs. And so I would think, who are the rich people? You know, Hollywood and above. Hollywood, the wood of holly is supposedly used in Saturnalia, Saturn worshiping. Yeah, it goes on and on and on and on. So let's go back to the fasting and the fruits.
What?
I noticed. So
My God.
around now that I've been on this fruitarian diet for about this fruitarian journey for a little over 3 years, when I do eat cooked foods and go back to the fast, after the fast, I notice the poop is the sludge, and so it gets easier for the mucoid plaque to not build up and come out easier. So the cleaner you are, the easier. So the cleaner your room, the easier to clean it. Yes.
That's true. That's true. Definitely. The second time I did a juice cleanse, I felt I still had plaque, and this could take like many years to clear out too. But I do agree that once it's like cleared out after those initial, extended periods of fasting or fruit feasting, like it does get easier to come back and to stay on the fruit. But all it takes is one meal to kind of bring us back. But because we have that consciousness, it's just like if you relapse with drugs or alcohol after having been on that higher states of consciousness, it's going to be much easier to come back to sobriety than when it was like you were drinking every day or doing drugs every single day in a state of unconsciousness. So absolutely.
Also, it may also be the gut bacteria. Once we reset with the flood, reset our body, gut bacteria reset with fruits. As long as that bacteria is abundant, right? Even though if we eat cooked foods, the abundant gut bacteria will still call for fruits. Hey, remember what happened last time? And we're like, oh yeah, okay, I can't fall off. So this second time around that I came back to cook foods, I believe April, I forget, 17 or 18, I went back to cook foods. It was easier to go back to fruits.
Did it only last one time? Was it like one time, or was it a few days?
Like 2 days of cooked foods, and then I was able to go days fruits. And then I noticed it got easier, so I'm not too harsh on myself. If I go out with friends, if I go out with family and have, a vegan meal or a vegetarian meal, and then now, okay, I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to fall down again. So it's the experience of falling down helps you not fall down. The more you fall down, the more you not fall down. But a lot of times, the more we fall, sometimes we can't get back up. But we have to, have a clean body, maybe work, take care of our body so that we could get back up.
Do you feel the effects of the cooked food? Like, do you feel any different the next day? Do you
right away.
Tired, more
right
depressed?
away, my bowel movement gets slower.
Yeah.
The processing of the cooked food is a lot slower than the fruits, so you get sleepier faster. I notice also if I eat a lot of cooked foods, my nose clog up and I start snoring. So we think, hey, wives or husbands out there that has snoring wives, maybe we, work together. You guys did that vow, right, to work together and help each other out with the diet and clean the diet so that you don't have to listen to each other snoring. You know what I mean?
But change your diet. You don't need that machine too. Professor Spiro was talking about that. He had the CPAP and everything, or they were recommending that, and he was like, "No, I'm not going to do that." And he changed his diet and he stopped snoring. So, yeah.
And then because I was eating fruits for such a long time, I noticed when I eat cooked foods right away, I feel it in my kidney area and my lymph nodes in my thigh area. And so I'm thinking, the more I eat garbage, my thigh area lymph nodes gets more inflamed. And then when I go running or go walking, that's when it starts it starts to rub. But when I'm on fruits, it never rubs. I can go walking for miles and miles and miles. You know, back then I used to go running a lot, and I put Vaseline where it'll rub, so I could cover more distance. But I did note B12. Also, remember how we were talking about B12 and tears? I was talking about tears. Men die faster than women, or men have a higher rate of suicide. And men were raised to not cry, right? In a lot of cultures. But God designed these tear ducts for tears to come out, right? And it's crying. And I remember as a kid, I was looking at Wild Geographic, the National Geographic or something. And it's talking about these alligators or crocodiles. They cry to detox out that extra salt, from swimming. And when you cry, right? It's like a detox, because then you become sleepy, right? So you're not only detoxing all that mineral built up in your pineal gland or whatever in your brain from all that. It comes out through your tears, and maybe also it detox emotionally, right? With tears. And so that's probably why we're designed with these, and then we're suppressing it, and then now we go hang ourselves or commit suicide more. Okay, men supposedly have more suicide rate. And then B12, I was thinking the other day, if we depend on supermarket fruits and vegetables, supposedly, right, the B12 are bacteria in the ground, in the dirt, and then it's getting depleted because of the industrial farming and the synthetic fertilizer and all that. Why don't during the summertime or springtime, or summertime or autumn, as human beings, take some time off of work or the society and go out in nature and eat some wild fruits that are connected to the land, that probably is not industrially farmed or fertilized, and connect back with nature, and probably has some B12 in there, and I think the more we eat organic or wild fruits, the less we worry about B12. Also, trees that are connected to the earth for so long, for years and years, it probably has roots so deep that we can't even imagine, that it can bring up the B12 that we need and provide us that. And if B12 are made by bacteria, who are we to say that there aren't gut bacteria in our billions of gut bacteria supposedly in our gut? Don't make something similar to B12 just because the blood test, the doctor says you're low on B12. Maybe our healthy ass gut bacteria is creating something similar, and that's why we're fine. Another thought on gut bacteria: people who supposedly the appendix is a storage for good gut bacteria. So when like when we have antibiotics or something that resets our bacteria, the appendix pops out more good bacteria. So supposedly in America, getting your appendix cut out is common. I remember there was this cartoon as a child called Rocco's Modern Life, where he got his appendix cut out and everybody's fine. But if the appendix does hold good gut bacteria, I'm thinking people who use soap and alcohol and all these cleansing chemicals have B12 problems, because they don't have good gut bacteria. It's hard for them to have good gut bacteria. This is just my theory. So that's my thing.
Yeah, and the more our society goes to like antibacterial, like the more our nation becomes antibacterial, the more sick we're getting. The kids that are grown up, that are raised in homes that are too antibacterial, too like germaphobe and things like that, they grow up to have the more asthma, the more allergies, colds, because their whole system is not used to strengthening, being strong, having a strong immune system to be able to fight off whatever pathogen, virus, bacteria comes through. So definitely we want to strengthen that with.
I hear depression as well. In 2017, I had staph infections like 4 times before I realized I had staph infection. Anyway, the doctor gave me some antibiotics, and I'm the type dude to look at the the medicine and kind of look it up. and I was looking at the side effects, and one of them was depression, and I didn't know why. I took it, I got depressed anyway. I got depressed, and then that's 2017, and then 2018 is when I started fasting, and I started coming back, started being more happier. I think the gut bacteria updated. So be careful, people who take antibiotics. It may mess with your gut. But, you know, I had staph infection. Supposedly people die off of stuff. But at that time when I had staph infection, I was eating garbage, I was drinking beer. So maybe my body was prone to being infected in that way. Yeah. Since I've started fasting in 2018, I actually have not caught a cold or gotten sick since 2018. It's 2023 now. I haven't gotten vaccinated since like back in my military days. That's like over 10 years ago, you know, and I've yet to catch the COVID. You know, there was such, I don't know if you guys remember in history, but there's this thing called COVID-19 that was pretty big all over the news in early 2020.
I remember.
2020 and around 2023, and everybody was going, 2022, and everybody's going crazy telling us to put on masks and get vaccinated, and they got vaccinated like 5 times. I didn't get any vaccination. I didn't really put on mask, and I did not get the COVID, and I'm glad people already forgot about that history.
You're still alive. How did you do it?
It's like people forgot about that history, and I feel the more we forget about our history, the more we forget about our potential. And I think a lot of our history is manipulated, and a lot of our potential is being forgotten. That was a crazy time to be alive. The COVID.
It's like there was life before that, and then life after that. Everything changed from then. But a lot of people started waking up too. A lot of people started waking up, including myself, to the truths of the world. There was a lot of stuff that I never been exposed to about the way things were operating, the way corporations were working.
It may have been a good thing.
It was an up level of the planet. You know, I really feel like we are entering this new dimension. And a lot of people just weren't meant to come forward at this time, where they were meant, like you said, to reincarnate, to come into a new being, to help the planet. We're in a big, massive shift. So it kind of feels like an awakening, and it's very messy and it's very tumultuous. But I really feel like that was part of the up level of humanity on a whole.
It was a good thing in the sense that we saw the change happen, and the life kind of wouldn't go back to the way it was before, and now we're prepared for big changes. Now if big changes comes, we're kind of prepared for it, because this kind of gave us the taste of big changes. And yeah, going back to, remember how I was pushing, fruitarianism, you gotta eat fruits, you know, shoving people, you know, smacking hot dogs people's hands off of people's hands. But you let them choose the red pill or blue. We can't shove red pill down, because if let's say we red pill somebody and they get afraid, now they can't even leave their house, and they're living off of fear. And I think ignorance, the saying, ignorance is bliss. It's also written in Ephesians, talking about the more knowledge we have, the more sorrow we may feel. So imagine all the geniuses out there in the world. They're like, I feel. It can be hard sometimes. The more sorrow. I believe it's in Ephesians or Ecclesiastes, book of.
I'd like to add to that too. The more happiness we feel too. I always felt like the more sorrow we're ready to feel, the higher levels of joy we get to experience in this life. It's like the two spectrums get to be experienced, and when we try to numb that sorrow, we're also numbing that level of joy that we can be experiencing. So we try to push it down with these artificial substances, you know, whether coffee or cigarettes or alcohol or other drugs, and we're trying to like suppress those uncomfortable feelings unconsciously. But then, and we get these like artificial highs, but they're temporary. They're not real. It's not a real satisfaction in life. It's not a real joy. It's not a real happiness. But when we get sober and clean and we can feel, then we get to feel the real high of life, you know, and it doesn't happen all the time, But when I get those moments of like, I burst into laughter and I start to cry, tears of
I
joy,
cry.
I'm like, here I am. Like, I am on this planet. I'm happy. And like, I would not give up those moments of ecstasy, natural ecstasy, for anything in the world.
Right. I didn't have to pay for this ecstasy. I didn't have to use outer sources to reach this ecstasy.
Right.
I reached this ecstasy sober, and
Yeah.
that accomplishment, just so grateful. And yeah, it just makes, yeah, you laugh, and then the tears won't stop coming out, and yeah, it's great. And then yeah, the tears don't come out. Tears come out, and that's a detox, and all the extra salt I have from those avocados come out. You know.
I love hearing it too from a man's perspective, to encourage men especially to feel those emotions. You know, I think it's really special that you said that, and it's true, and it's very sad to come back on the topic of suicide. That touched my heart so much, because I've lost many friends that were men to suicide. A friend of mine jumped out of his building window not too long ago. What possessed him to do that? You know what I mean? Like, the level of sadness that he must have been experiencing. And he was a recovering alcoholic. Anyway, through drugs, many of them have passed through overdoses, like shooting themselves. And it's just like, there's definitely a problem with, you know, men not wanting to feel their emotions, or not feeling safe feeling their emotions, having been ridiculed in their childhood perhaps, or embarrassed or humiliated or put down. Like, it's time for healing, and it's time for us women too to welcome that. We're comfortable with our emotions. I feel we're more comfortable with our emotions, more comfortable with expressing them. So it's just like the female male, like, it's time to come together. Really,
Women supposedly live a lot longer than that. I mean, we're wild too. Also, yeah, we get into wild accents. Like, if you look at the Jackass, you know, the movie Jackass, the members are mostly men. So we're all doing some dumb shit too sometimes. But yes, when you ask what possessed him, and then to do that, and then he said sadness, and I thought, okay, sadness may be a demon, quote unquote demon, and to get rid of these demons through fasting and prayer. Matthew chapter 17, verse 21. Go back into suicide. I went to this samurai museum the other day, maybe 2 days ago, and they're talking about samurais. They commit suicide by getting their sword and, you know, slicing their stomach. Why stomach? Because they believe the source of life is coming from the stomach. So your gut, you know, take care of your gut. Yeah, you take care of you. Actually, you take care of your whole body. You take care of you. And you take care of yourself, I think, spiritually. Yeah, then it takes care of your body as well. Yeah, it's. I don't think it's designed to be an easy world, right? In the world controlled by the fallen, but we have the potential. I believe we have the potential to rise above, right? And we, like Jacob, to climb up that ladder. We like, oh, we can't do it. We can't, you know. The Bible's written by man. We maybe, yeah, we don't like to look at these scriptures because it's written by man, because we underestimate man. We underestimate man because we underestimate ourselves. Do not underestimate yourselves. Look at a lot of the shit that you're able to do within this lifetime. And look at a lot of the shit that man was able to create. A lot of the shit man was able to destroy. Kind of like God. God's able to create, God's able to destroy. Maybe man's not at the God's level yet. If God was created.
I think there's big G God, and I think we're little G God. We're kind of gods too.
If we are children of God, then
we are.
If we are children of God, then yeah, we are little G gods, right? Like, if dogs have children, they have, you know, puppies, right? They become dogs. Right?
We definitely.
If cats have children, they have little cats. So if God has children, if we are God's children, then we are little gods.
Exactly. Definitely. We are very powerful, much more than we allow ourselves to believe. I believe it. I mean, just being on this interview to me is a miracle, just connecting in this way, having the courage to reach out, having the courage to come on live. Like these are miracles, I could never have done this a few years ago. Like my friends know. I was so shy. I was just so limited in my own belief of myself. And now it's like so many possibilities are opening up because my gut is more healed and I'm just getting started, and I'm just getting to know who I am, and just like so amazed and so blessed by the quality of friends that I have in my life, and including you that have been completely blowing my mind. And this is going to take me a few weeks to process this whole conversation. And you're here
when
to
you when you said you
on the
healed your gut,
wall. Yeah,
when
sorry.
you said now you're able to do all these things because you healed your gut, yeah, you know how the American says, yeah, now you have guts. Now you have guts to do it.
Yeah,
So you healed your guts, now you have the guts to do it.
I think I grew some balls too. I'm joking. we'll, get, we'll get into that another time.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
metaphysical balls.
Yeah. Yes, the chakra, maybe the chakra where the balls, that area of chakra just got boom, big. I was also thinking, when Fruitarians dating with Fruitarians, when how you were monofruiting the other day, I was also I was monofruiting apples for like 8 days, but I was thinking like, a good like a slogan or advertisement for dating for Fruitarians, like if you can meet someone who can monofruit and be content with it, then they'll be probably content with being with one partner for the rest of their life. If you're content with one fruit, being able to monofruit, one fruit for the rest of your life, then then that person might be able to be content with one partner for the rest of their life. So that's probably a keeper. So if you can, so men, if you're able to find women who are able to monofruit, yeah, she's probably a keeper.
I don't know about that. We'll have to get into that conversation. I don't know if I could be with one person for the rest of my life, though.
Well, this physical life.
This physical life. That's a long time. I mean, we're living up to 120 or more. It's a long time.
Or more. Maybe, yeah. We haven't met that yet, like where we can be like, 120 years with you is not enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully we do.
Maybe. Apparently I haven't met the right one, so I'm open.
And I just thought of a good pickup line too. For if I see a hot Christian girl, like, damn girl, 120 years with you is never enough. Like, I'd rather be in hell with you than in hell without you. But no, I'd rather be.
Would you date a non-vegan?
Maybe a vegetarian. Maybe if like I was thinking halal. If you take the guidance of the Bibles, right, the Old Testament, you could eat these clean meats, but do not drink the blood. And if they follow the halal, or like the Old Testament or the Torah, and if they're doing it with good intentions, then yeah, maybe. If they're always going to the supermarket and buying more than they don't need, then okay, no. If you go into the supermarket, you're buying more than you don't. Let's say if we were hiking in like Tibet, right, and a local tribe who has been raising cows or sheep for generations with love, with good intention, offer us a shot glass of fresh milk, I probably won't say no. I'm not going to take 2 liters of it. I'll be very grateful. Thank you for the gift, and drink it. In the Rig Veda, the Rig Veda is saying the properties of the medicinal plant that the cows eat transfers into the milk, and that's probably why cows were very how do you say important
to
to the Hindu culture. Imagine, You don't want. I want to get hot. Let's say like, I want to get like some CBD, but I don't want to smoke CBD. You get a cow that eats a lot of CBD plants, drink its milk, and if you give love to the cow, right? Maybe the cow's like, yeah, take some. Don't take a liter of it. Maybe take a shot glass, maybe a little bit of it. Mm-hmm. If you live in peace amongst them, you know what I mean? Not factory farming them for our pleasure. You're chopping them up and storing supermarkets, and when it reaches a certain day, you throw it away. No. Not like that. Right. And when we do sacrifice these animals, we give thanks. Thanks for
That's beautiful. Thank you for answering that, and thank you for this very deep and profound, meaningful conversation. I really appreciate you. I could talk to you for much longer. I do need to go check on my daughter because I think she's
one more for the Fruitarians. One more for the Fruitarians.
Yes.
If you eat a lot of fruits and don't plant the seed of your fruits, then we're taking from nature and not really giving back. So don't forget to plant the seed of the fruits you eat and give back.
And what if we're living like in the city? What would you do if we're living in a city and we don't necessarily, you just put it in a park, like save them and throw them in a park?
Yes, save them, put in a park. Sometimes I'll walk around the city, right, with fruits, and I'll put the seed in like someone's empty dirt pot, or in like random dirt area. If it grows, I mean, if you put it in the dirt, you did your job. Okay, I did my part. I tried. What if you plant in someone's yard, right? And the next day there's like an apocalypse, and then a few years later, a beautiful tree grows, and then the survivors can eat it. So kind of did it. If that happens, then I'm glad. I'm glad I planted the seed. But at least the fruit made this. The tree made the fruit for us, to help it plant the seeds and also give us nutrients in exchange for that. So at least we try, we put effort. Similar to sinning. Try not to sin, but sometimes we sin, but we tried. And I think that's the intention is the most important, to me at least. That's my theory.
Yes, and we keep doing better and better, different levels of consciousness, different levels of awareness. Like now I'm being more conscious of like my plastic consumption, and like everything that comes in plastic wrapping, like that wasn't even, I mean, as much as I care, like sometimes I couldn't help it. So now I'm trying to be more conscious of that and less waste and just all of it. And that's why I want to go like back to the earth, back to nature, living off the land, composting everything. I'm in this apartment building now and we don't even compost. So like all of my waste is just going to the garbage. And I'm like, oh, I know that's bad karma. I know there's like consequences to that. And I'm striving to just get back to the earth so that it's easy to plant the seeds and do all these things that you're talking about. Composting toilets where we could like recycle our waste and put it back into the earth. I feel like it's just going down into the sewers right now. So all of these levels of awareness are starting to kick in. So it's interesting.
I think there's salts in our waste and it goes back to the earth, and the earth gets the salt again.
Yeah.
And another good, I start eating apples at a park, and I don't eat the skin. I throw it and then the birds eat it. So everybody wins. I don't have any plastic trash. The more we eat fresh produce, the less trash we make, and it's kind of a service, or it is a service. So being a fruitarian or a raw vegan is a service to in some ways, to this world.
In all the ways. Imagine there's gonna be so many fruit trees growing thanks to us. There's no fruit trees in front of every single house all over the world. Like we live in an abundant world. We could make that happen. We could help everybody have a fruit tree in front of their house and eat for generations to come.
Yes. And if we eat the fruits from their yard, we connect with them, right? If you swallow the seeds and poop, and it knows your DNA and it becomes your tree, it starts to make fruits accommodating your needs.
Yeah.
Supposedly, according to the Ringing Cedar series book by Anastasia, I believe. Yeah. Once it gets acquainted to your DNA in your mouth, the seeds, it knows like, oh, hey, this animal helped me disperse its seeds. Let's help it, continue life by giving it the nutrients it needs. So the connection with nature, I think a lot of modern humans have forgotten that connection.
Well, you're helping us all to remember and to reconnect,
Yeah.
to come home to ourselves and to what's really important, and showing us what's possible. So
Yes.
definitely. Thank you so much, King Allen. I loved having you
Thank you
on.
so much for having me.
You're such an angel and powerful warrior, and so much gratitude for you. And if anybody wants to follow him, please follow him on Facebook, Allen Manglona, and on Instagram as well. I could put your links in the comments so that everybody could stay in
Please do.
touch. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Sending you so
Everyone
much
have a great
love.
one.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon. Good night and have a good day. Bye.
Thank you.